In the darkest shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abracast. We are the brave and bold.
No. The origin of the Kabbalah is placed by most authors much later than that of Christianity. And indeed, it is not impossible that its doctrines may have received great development after that epoch. Nevertheless, the elements of them go back to much more remote antiquity. The book of Daniel bears the most conspicuous traces of this antiquity. And to the attestation of this record, we are added other proofs no less convincing. The idea of emanation is, so to speak, the soul, the essential element of the Kabbalah. It is likewise that we have already seen the essential character of Zoroastrianism. We may therefore consider that it was through their very intimate connection with Persia that the Jews imbibed that idea. According to the Kabbalah, as according to the Zenda Vesta, all that exists has emanated from the source of infinite light. Before all things existed, the primal being, the Ancient of Days, the eternal King of Light. This King of Light is the All. He is the real cause of all existence, and he is the infinite En Sof. He alone is he. There is to him no thou, but he cannot be known. He is a closed eye. The universe is the revelation of the King of Light and only subsists in him. His qualities are manifested in it, variously modified and in the different degrees. It is therefore his holy splendor, the mantle, as it were, wherewith he must be clothed in silence. All is an emanation from this being. The nearer, therefore, that any approaches to him, the more perfect is it. And the less so does it become as it recedes from him. The idea of gradation is eminently Persian. Before the creation of the world, the primal light filled all, so there was no void at all. But when the Supreme Being residing within his light resolved to display and manifest his perfection, he retired within himself and formed around him a void space. Into this void he left fall this first emanation, a ray of light, which is the cause and principle of all existence, uniting in itself the generative and conceptive forces, being both father and mother, in the sublimest sense pervading all, and without which nothing can for an instant subsist. From this double force, designated by the first two letters of the name Yehovah, Yod, and He, emanated the firstborn of God, the Tikkun, or universal type, and the general container of all beings, united within himself by means of the primal ray. He is the creator. He is the creator. He is the creator, preserver, the prime animator of the world. He is the light of light, possessing the three primitive forces of the Godhead, the light, the spirit, and the life, inasmuch as he has received what he gives. The light and the life he is considered as equal a generative and conceptive principle as the prime or the primitive man, Adam Kadmon, and as man himself is called the little world or the microcosm. So this being, his type is properly designated the great world or macrocosm. And in there, Adam Kadmon, the principle of light and of life. The Kabbalists have united the attributes of the same principles amongst the Persians. Adam Kadmon has manifested himself in 10 emanations, which are not indeed actual beings, but sources of life, vessels of the almighty power, types of all creations. Their names are the crown, wisdom, prudence, magnificence, severity, beauty, victory, glory, foundation, empire. To wisdom they gave the little Jah, the prudence, Jehovah, the magnificence, El, the severity, Elohim, to victory and glory, Sabbath, to empire, Adonai. This is from the Gnostics and Their Remains by Charles William King, published in 1887.
The Abercast. Occult. History. Conspiracy. Violence.
Let's get it on. All right, everybody. I'm John Towers. This is the Abercast. Thank you for tuning in. So these exclusive episodes, we did one on the supernal. We're getting in depth to this Tree of Life business. You know, we scratched the surface on the mainstream. God damn it! This tablet is driving me fucking bananas. That's what I get for recording during Mercury retrograde. Okay, so we kind of scratched the surface on the regular show with the Tree of Life, and then we got into the seiphiroths or the spheres. And these exclusive episodes this month are diving into this. We're examining the spheres more in depth, and we're examining. The way that we grouped them is by these triangles that link the tree all together. So the first one was the supernal triangle. The second one was the ethical or moral triangle. So tonight we're going to finish up talking about the astral, or I prefer the psychological triangle, which is the bottom most triangle on the Tree of Life. It encompasses Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. And then there's one sphere underneath it, Malkuth, the foundation seiphiroth. So we'll talk about those three, and then we'll talk about Malkuth for a bit, since that is one of the spheres. Okay, so there's 10 spheres, but between the supernal triangle and the moral triangle, there is the abyss, and in the abyss there's a hidden seiphiroth called Doth. So by the time we get to the end of this, we'll have explored these different triangles and have gotten way more in depth with the seiphiroth. So we're gonna get right into it. So we're back into right now We're back into Dion Fortune's mystical Kabbalah. We're just going to pick up right where we left off. Now would be a good time to grab your glass if you haven't already. Netzach is the sphere of the goddess of nature, Venus. Hod is the sphere of Mercury, the Greek analog of the Egyptian Thoth. Lord of books and learning, observing their opposition, we shall expect to find two different aspects represented in them. These finding their equilibrium in a third. Yesod, the sphere of Luna. We see then the triangle is composed of the Lady of Nature, the Lord of Books, and the Mistress of Witchcraft. In other words, subconscious and superconscious correlate in the psychism. Anyone who is familiar with practical mysticism knows that there are three paths of superconsciousness devotional mysticism, which correlates with the seiphiroth, nature mysticism, the inebriating Dionysian type, which equates with the Venus sphere of Netzach, and the intellectual mysticism of the occult type, which equates with Hod, the sphere of Thoth, the lord of magic, seiphiroth, as we have seen by reference of the diagram of the tree, belongs to the higher plane than any member of the third triangle. Yesod, on the other hand, is drawing very near to the sphere of earth. To Yesod are assigned all deities that have the moon in their symbolism. Luna herself, Hecate, with the dominion over evil, magic, and Diana with her presidency over childbirth, the physical moon. Yesod in Asaya, as the Kabbalist would say, with its 28-day cycle, correlates with the reproductive cycles of the human female. If the symbolism of the Luna crescent can be traced through various pantheons, it will be found that the deities associated with it are predominantly female. It is interesting to note, in confirmation of our assigned assignation of the Holy Spirit to Yesod, that according to Macgregor Mathers, the Holy Spirit is a feminine force. We say Kabbalah, he says, we are usually told that the Holy Spirit is masculine, but the word Rauch spirit is feminine, as appears from the following passage and of Sefer Yetzirach Akata. Feminine, not Akkad, masculine. Rauch, Elohim, Chum. One is she, the spirit of Elohim, of life. And we consider the middle pillar as referring to the levels of consciousness. We shall find further confirmation of this view. There remains for our final consideration of seiphiroth Malkuth, the kingdom of earth. This seiphiroth differs from the others in several respects. Firstly, it is not part of any equilibrated triangle, but it is said to be the receptacle of the influence of all others. Secondly, it is a fallen seiphiroth, for it was cut from the rest of the tree by the fall, and the coils of the stooping dragon arising from the world of shells. The kingdom of unbalanced force separates it from its brethren, and behind the shoulder of the queen, the bride of prosopos, or the Malkuth, it's the serpent rears its head. And here it is said to be the place of severest judgments. The sphere of Malkuth abuts upon the hell of the averse seiphiroth, the Qlippoth, or evil demons. It is the firmament whereby Elohim separated the supernal waters of Binah from the infernal waters of Leviathan. The signification of the Qlippoth must be considered fully. In due course, we have referred to them here in order to explain the position of Malkuth. We must say something further in order to render the explanation intelligible. The Qlippoth, or singular Quippah, in immodest woman or harlot, are the evil or reverse seiphiroth. Here, an emanation of unbalanced force from its corresponding sphere on the holy tree. These emanations took place during critical periods of evolution when the seiphiroth were not in equilibrium. For this reason, they are referred to as kings of the unbalanced force, the kings of Edom, who ruled before there was a king in Israel, as the Bible puts it. And in the words of the Sephirah Dianutha, the book of the concealed mysteries, quote, before there was equilibrium, countenance beheld not countenance, and the kings of the ancient times were dead, and their crowns were found no more, and the earth was desolate, unquote. It's kind of cool. We have now contemplated our preliminary survey of the Tree of Life and the arrangements of the 10 holy seiphiroth thereupon. We have some clue to their significance and have been given a hint or two of the manner in which the mind works when it uses these cosmic symbols for its meditation. Consequently, we are now in a position to assign each fresh bit of information to its correct position in our scheme. We are building up the jigsaw puzzle. With knowledge and outlines of the picture, Crowley has aptly likened the tree to a card index file, which each symbol is an envelope. This is a simile which it would be difficult to improve upon the course of the studies. We shall begin to fill these filing cases and find the cross-indexing among them, indicated by the appearance of the same symbol in other associations. All right, let's get into these remaining sephira. The number 7, the 7th sephira, is Netzach, or the firmness and victory, corresponding with the divine name Jehovah Tzabaoth, the Lord of armies, and the angelic names Elohim, gods, Therashim, the brilliant ones. Okay, please remember, I didn't mention it in this episode. I mentioned it in previous episodes that these, when I'm talking about these different sephiroths, I'm smashing up Dion Fortune's Mystic Kabbalah, and also in a much older book, the Kabbalah Unveiled by Macgregor Mathers. So just take that into consideration. And I'm not going to really draw out the lines of what belongs to what. You just got to take my word for it, bros, I guess. Netzach is the sphere of Venus. Is best understood by contrasting it with Hod, the sphere of Mercury, these two representing force and form on the lower arc. As has already been seen, Netzach represents the instincts and the emotions they give rise to, and Hod represents the concrete mind. Is in the macrocosm, they represent two levels of the process of the consecration of force into form, and Netzach force is still relatively free moving, being bound into exceedingly fluidic and ever shifting shapes, and in Hod taking on for the first time definite and permanent form. Although of an exceedingly tenuous nature, in Netzach, a particular form of force represents itself as a type of being flowing backwards and forwards over the boundaries of manifestation in an exceedingly elusive manner. Such beings have no individualized personalities, but are like the armies with banners that can be seen in the sunset clouds. In Hod, however, individualization into units has taken place, and there is a continuity of existence. All mind is group mind in Netzach, but in Hod, the human mind has its beginning. That's tight, bro. The virtue of Netzach is unselfishness, and the vice is unchastity or lust. The correspondence in the microcosm is, you know what it is, the loins, the hips, and the legs. Situated on the tree at the foot of the pillar of mercy, the alchemical symbolism is a glittering splendor. It is Venus, rocket number 9. The tarot cards, the 4 sevens, the 7 of wands, which is valor, and the 7 of cups, which is illusory success, the 7 of swords, unstable effort, and the 7 of pentacles, success unfulfilled. Move on to the next one. The number 8. Thence proceeded the feminine passive potency of Hod, splendor, answering to the divine name Elohim Tazaboeth, the armies, the gods of armies, and among the angels Beni Elohim, and the sons of God. The 2 root powers of the universe are represented in the Tree of Life by Chakma and Bina, the positive and the negative forces. It is held by the Kabbalists that although each seiphiroth emanates its next in numerical order, these 2 supernals of the tree being once established and reflected down it diagonally in a particular way. It is clearly indicated that the Netzach text of the seiphiroth, wherein it says that Hod has no root by which it can cleave or rest, save in the hidden places of Gedula, from whence emanates its proper essence. Gedula, be it remembered, is another name for Chesed. Benab is the giver of form, and Chesed is the cosmic embolism. The organization of units formulated by Bina into complex interacting structures. Hod, the reflection of Chesed, is in turn the seiphiroth of form, and it represents this coagulating principle in another sphere. The virtue is truthfulness. The vice is falsehood or dishonesty. The correspondents in the microcosm are, the loins and the legs, situated on the tree at the foot of the pillar of severity. The alchemical symbolism is the stellar light. It is Mercury. The tarot cards are the 4 8s. The 8 of wands, which is swiftness. The 8 of cups, which is abandoned success. The 8 of swords, which is shortened force. And the 8 of pentacles, which is prudence. Okay, we're wrapping up the our Kabbalah episodes. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed these. I hope you signed into the mailing list to get the Tree of Life maps and the triangle maps and the lightning bolt through the seiphiroth paths maps. If you haven't, it's not too late. You can do that still right now. Just go to abracast.com and sign in to the mailing list. You'll get a link to a part of my site with all that stuff. And let's not forget, I'm over at subscribestar.com now, /Abracast. Got a bunch of exclusive episodes and bonus stuff over there. It's only one. We only got one tier right now. It's a $3 tier. This $3 you're not going to miss. Like I said, 14 hours of exclusive episodes plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Back to abercast.com. There's social media links. There's feature topic link. While you're there, check out some books and some graphic novels. And there's a shop link there now, too. I got a couple vessels of the art I'm looking to unload. And let's not forget the Facebook page, the YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out the Sermon of the Wolf. It's a 6-part deep dive into werewolfism and lycanthropy. So thank you. And hey, as a reminder, if you guys are partying this week, it's Memorial Day weekend right now. Still, Memorial Day is on Monday. So this message is for you if you're listening to it either on Sunday or on Monday. Remember, they're out there and they're fucking looking for you. The cops running DUI checkpoints and all that stuff. So just, be cool. Be cool. Call a Lyft driver, something like that. Because they are out there and they don't give a fuck about your Fourth Amendment rights. They don't give a fuck about it. So, be careful. Dummies don't listen to this show. So I'm sure I don't have to even tell you guys this. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move into this last seiphiroth of the psychological triangle. And this is Yesod, the number 9. The foundation or basis. These two, they're talking about Hod and Netzach, Netzach and Hod. These two produced Yesod, the foundation or basis, represented by Al-Chaya. The mighty living one, Shaddai, and among the angels by Hashem, the flames, yielding the third trinity of the seiphiroth. The study of the symbolism of Yesod reveals two apparently incongruous sets of symbols. Upon the one hand, we have the conception of Yesod as the foundation of the universe. Established in strength, this is indicated by the reoccurrence of the idea of strength as a magical item of a beautiful naked man, each very strong. The God name Shaddai, the Almighty, the cherubim, the strong angels, and the 9 of wands, whose secret name is the Lord of great strength. But upon the other hand, we have the moon symbolism, which is very fluidic in its continual state of flux and reflux under the presidency of Gabriel, the archangel of the element of water. Gabriel also appears in my books, if you're interested. How are we to reconcile these conflicting concepts? The answer is to be found in the words of the Netzach text, which says of the 9th path, what it purifies the emanations, it provides and corrects the design of their representations and disposes of the unity in which they are designed without diminution or division. This concept is further illuminated by the nature of the spiritual experience assigned to Yesod, which is described as the vision of the machinery of the universe. The virtue of Yesod is independence, and the vice is idleness. The situation on the tree is towards the base of the pillar of equilibrium, and the correspondence in the microcosm is, what is it? It's the reproductive organs. The alchemical symbolism is the lunar flame, the moon. The tarot cards is the 4 nines, the 9 of wands, which is a great strength, and the 9 of cups, which is material happiness. The 9 of swords, which is despair and cruelty, and the 9 of pentacles is material gain. The number 10. From this 9th seiphiroth came the 10th and last, thus completing the decad of the numbers. It is called Malkuth, the kingdom. It is also called the queen Matrona, the inferior mother, the bride of Micropro Sophis. Micropro-Sophis. The Shekinah, represented by the divine name Adonai, and among the angelic host of the cherubim. Now each of these seiphiroth will be in a certain degree androgynous, for it will be feminine or receptive with regard to the seiphiroth which immediately proceeds in the seiphirotic scale, and masculine or transmissive with the regards of the seiphiroth which immediately follows it. But there is no seiphiroth anterior to Keter, nor is there a seiphiroth which succeeds Malkuth. By these remarks, it will be understood how Chokmah is a feminine noun, though marking a masculine seiphiroth. The connecting link of the seiphiroth is the Rauch spirit from Mesla, the hidden influence. I'm just looking at the spheres here because I never really realized this male-female interchanging correspondence thing before, so I'm kind of looking at it. It is to be observed that the conformation of the tree falls naturally into 3 functional triangles, which is what we are talking about here in this series. But the Malkuth participates in no such triangle, but stands apart, and it is said by the Kabbalists that it receives the influence or emanations of all other seiphiroth. Although Malkuth is the only seiphiroth that does not participate in a triangle, it is also the only seiphiroth that is represented as a partly colored instead of a unit, for it is divided into 4 quarters, which are assigned to the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water. And although it is not functional in any triangle, it represents the end result of all activities of the tree. It is the nadir of evolution, the outermost point of the outgoing arc, through which all life must pass before returning whence it came. The Malkuth is said to be the sphere of earth, but we must not make the mistake of thinking that Kabbalists mean by Malkuth only the terrestrial sphere. They meant also that the earth soul, that is to say, the subtle psychic aspect of matter, the undying phenomenon of the physical plane, which gives rise to all physical phenomena. Likewise, with the 4 elements, these are not the earth, air, and fire, and water as we know, as known to the physicists, but the 4 conditions in which energy can exist. The esoterist distinguishes these from the mundane counterparts by referring to them as air of the wise or earth of the wise. And as the case may be, they say the element of air or of earth as it is known to the initiate. The virtue of Malkuth is discrimination. And, oh, that's interesting. And the vice is avarice or inertia. I have a lot to say about the virtue being discrimination. But I'm going to hold my shit. Correspondence in the microcosm is hilarious. The feet or the anus. Uranus. Don't you know my ass is famous? Situation on the tree is the base of the pillar of equilibrium. However, we see that the other pillars run into Malkuth as well. If you look at the diagram, if you go to the Kabbalah 1 and 2 plan on Patreon, or if you sign into the newsletter, you'll see the diagram, or you can just Google, just fucking search it or whatever. Buy a book. I mean, you can find this diagram everywhere. On my arm, tarot cards, the 4 tens, the 10 of wands, which is oppression, perfect. The 10 of cups, which is perfected success, the 10 of swords, which is ruin, and the 10 of pentacles, which is wealth. So I'm going to stick with Dion Fortune here for a little bit. And now, back to this book. I will now add a few more remarks on the Kabbalistical meanings of the term Malkuth, or Methequala, which is balance. God, I've butchered that. We're going to talk more about balance. In each of the 3 trinities or triads, the seiphiroth is a duad of opposite sexes uniting intelligence, which is the result. In this, the masculine and the feminine potencies are regarded as 2 scales of the balance, and the uniting seiphiroth as a beam which joins them thusly. Then the term balance may be said to symbolize the triune, the trinity, or the unity. Which, this is really my biggest beef. This is really one of my biggest beefs with Christianity, is this all male, this fucking sausage party of the Trinity. This is represented by the central point of the beam. But again, the seiphiroth, there is a triple trinity, the upper, lower, and middle. It's a trinity of trinities. Now, these 3 are represented thus: the supernal, or the highest, by the crown Keter, the middle by the king, the inferior by the queen, which will be the greatest trinity. And the earthly correlatives of these are the premium mobile, the sun and the moon. Here we at once find alchemical symbolism. The seiphiroth are further divided into 3 pillars. The right-hand pillar of mercy, consisting of the 2nd, 4th, and 7th emanations, and the left-hand pillar of judgment, consisting of the 3rd, 5th, and 8th. In the middle pillar, the pillar of mildness or equilibrium, consisting of the 1st, 6th, 9th, and 10th emanations. In their totality, the unity of the 10 seiphiroth represents the archetypical man, Adam Kadmon, if you remember from the cold open, the protogonos. In looking at the seiphiroth, consulting the first triad, it is evident that they represent the intellect, and hence the triad is called the intellectual world. Olam Mev Shekel. The second triad corresponds with the moral world. Olaham Moragash. And the third represents the power and stability, and it is therefore called the material world. Olaham Ha Mevet Biu. These 3 aspects are called the faces, Anapin. Thus, the tree of life is Oats Chayam, formed, the first triad being placed above the 2nd and 3rd below, in such a manner that the 3 masculine seiphiroths are on the right and the 3 feminine are on the left, whilst the 4 uniting sephiroth occupy the center. This is the Kabbalistic Tree of Life on which all things depend. There is considerable analogy between this and the tree Yggdrasil of the Scandinavians and the Thor movies. I have already marked that there is one Trinity which comprises all of the seiphiroth, and that consists of the crown, the king, and the queen. In some senses, this is the Christian unity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Sausage party, which is in their highest divine nature, are symbolized by the first three seiphiroth, Keter, Chokmah, and Binah. It is the Trinity which created the world, or in the Kabbalistic language, the universe was born from the union of the crowned king and queen. But according to the Kabbalah, before the complete form of the heavenly man was produced, there were certain primordial worlds created that could not subsist as the equilibrium of balance, yet not perfect. The balance was not yet perfect, and they were convulsed by the unbalanced forces and destroyed by these primordial worlds called the King of Ancient Times, or the Kings of Edom, who reigned before monarchs of Israel. And in this sense, Edom is the world of unbalanced forces. And Israel is the balanced seiphiroth. This important fact that worlds were created and destroyed prior to present creation again and again is reiterated in the Zohar. Now, the seiphiroth are also called the world of emanations, or the... I knew this was coming up. The Atziluthic world, or the archetypical Olam Azeloth. And this world gave birth to three other worlds, which containing a representation of the seiphiroth, but in a descending scale of brightness. The second world is the Briatic world, Olaham Ha-Bria, the world of creation. It is also called the Korisha, the throne. It is immediate emanation from the world of the Azilioth, whose 10 seiphiroth are reflected herein and are consequently more limited, though they are still the purest nature and without any admixture of matter. The third is here we go, Jetzeratic, the Jetzeratic world, Olaham Ha-Yetzirah, the world of formation and of angels, which proceeded from Bria, and although less refined in substance, is still without matter. In this angelic world where those intelligences and incorporeal beings reside, who are wrapped in luminous garments and who assume a force or a form when they appear unto man. The fourth is the Azatic world, Olaham Ha-Aza, the world of action, called also the world of shells. We've heard this. Olaham Ha-Quipoth, which is the world of matter made up of the grosser elements of the other three. It is also the abode of evil spirits, which are called the shells by the Kabbalah. The Quipoth, material shells. The devils are also divided into 10 classes and have suitable habitations. Come here, kitten. What are you doing? Demons are the grossest and most deficient of all forms. They're 10 degrees. This is like your favorite German bar when the lights come on at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? They're 10 degrees answer to the decade of the seiphiroth, but in inverse ratio. The darkness and impurity increase with the descent of each degree. The first two are nothing but absence of visible form and organization, and the third is the abode of darkness. Next follows the 7 hells occupied by the demons, which represent incarnate human vices and torture, who have given themselves up to such vices in the earth life. Their principle is Samael, the angel of poison and of death. His wife is the harlot, the woman of whoredom, Izeth Zenunium. I'm going to stick with that. Izeth Zenunium. And united, they are called the beast Chioa. And the infernal trinity is completed, which is, so to speak, the averse and a caricature of the supernal creative one. Samael is considered to be identical with Satan. The name of the deity, which we call Jehovah, is in Hebrew a name of 4 letters, which we have spoken about a lot. IHVH. Yod He Vo He. The Tetragrammaton. And its true pronunciation of it is known to very few. I myself know some score of different mystical pronunciations of it. The true pronunciation is a most secret arcanum and is a secret of secrets. Quote, he who can rightly pronounce it causeth the heavens and the earth to tremble, for it is the name which rushes through the universe, unquote. Therefore, when a devout Jew comes upon it in reading the scripture, he either does not attempt to pronounce it, but instead makes a short pause, or else he substitutes for it the name Adonai, Lord, or even Tetragrammaton. All right, everybody. Just a reminder, abracast.com. Check out some books. Go get yourself a vessel of the art. Sign into the mailing list. Get all that stuff. Don't forget about subscribestar.com/abracast. Subscribestar is like a free speech, open source alternative to Patreon, because, we can't let someone else dictate what we can and can't fucking say. So I pulled all my Patreon shit and moved it over to Subscribestar, so there's that. Go check it out. What else? Facebook page, YouTube channel, Sermon of the Wolf. Werewolf. There, wolf. Have a good weekend, guys. Remember, cops are out there looking for you. They don't give a fuck about your Fourth Amendment rights. So, be smart.